So welcome everyone. This is our August event. Welcome to Our Ladies Room. We take still like about 3 more minutes. We start at 5-ish past the hour, just to let more people have the time to log in. We expect a bit more. And so thank you, Dr. Derek Sollberger, for joining us and accepting our invitation to speak for us today. So it's an honor. Thank you very much for being here today with us, sharing your experience. In the meantime, I get the chance for asking you to follow us on our social networks. This is going to be a good chance, a good way, a good option for supporting us. And so, as you might know, we are about everywhere. On just if you search as Ladies Room, we are on Twitter, on X, on Mastodon, Blue Sky, Instagram, and so even on, we have a free channel on WhatsApp. So please feel free to follow us even on our YouTube channel, which is the place where we post all our events. And so you might have the time to revisit past events that we've done, so they are all quite interesting. I put this link in the chat. It's a link tree. So you can there find all our links. Please follow us, and this is gonna be very helpful. As well as you have the slides Derek just posted. Thank you very much. And so we are about to get started. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Federica and R Ladies Room for the invitation. I've been looking forward to this event for a while, and I'm just hope that I could help out here.
Thank you very much. So welcome everyone again. What is going to happen today is that I introduce the Our Ladies Room chapter, and then I just pass the word to Dr. Sollberger, Derek, for our amazing event of today. Okay, so Our Ladies Room today presents interactive quarto dashboards. The speaker is Dr. Derek Sollberger. Just a little disclaimer that this talk is recorded and it will be posted on YouTube at our YouTube channel. You can find it at youtube.com/@ourladiesroom. You can, if as you might know, you can just switch off your camera if you don't want to be recorded, and please make sure your microphone is off. If you want to ask questions, please put it in the chat first, and then we get the time to pass you through Derek, Dr. Sollberger. We do this. Why we do this? We do this to ensure a safe, inclusive, and harassment-free space, which is our priority. We are committed to promoting a respectful environment where everyone feels welcome and be able to learn, connect, and grow. If you like to, when you sign up for our event, you agreed with our code of conduct. You can find more about it at this address, this website, ourladies.org/COC. As I said, you can use the chat, and also we will be very pleased if you use the chat to say hello to each other, say where you're from, whatever you like. It's going to be fun. Thank you. Welcome, and this is our August event. I introduce myself. For those of you who doesn't know me, my name is Federica Gazzelloni. I'm Italian, and I take care of this Our Ladies Rome chapter. I'm the lead organizer of the chapter, which means that I kicked it off, and I maintain the website, I do a few more things, but I do have nice collaborator, and which I introduce them in a few slides. So we are thrilled to have you all today. Join us. So get ready for an engaging and informative experience. What to expect from this talk? This talk is going to be an introduction. What we've done is we've done a workshop early this year with the data science learning community. You can find it on Slack, and so it's an open source online learning community, and we did a very nice workshop. Today it's going to be sort of a replication for that workshop, but on a more easy way. So you can like have both resources for learning how to manage dashboards with Quarto. So you learn how to create interactive dashboards, you see hands-on techniques, and then we'll explore advanced features. But what is Our Ladies? I don't know if all of you knows about Our Ladies, but Our Ladies is now a global community. We have lots of local chapters, and the scope is that to promote the R language, but in particular within women. And we have at all user levels, we build a collaborative global network, and as well as a friendly community, which is this one here. And in general, this Our Ladies is funded by Gabriela De Queiroz in 2012. What is Our Ladies Rome? Our Ladies Rome is a local chapter of Our Ladies Global, and as well as a dedicated community to promote the R language within not only women, you know, everyone who is eager to learn within our monthly meetings. We provide a platform to discuss current trends and hot topics. So Our Ladies Rome has grown within this few years. We started in 2023. And since then, we welcomed over 1.7 plus K members on Meetup, and gained 3K plus reservations, and successfully organized 40 plus events. Obviously, some certain type of events have got more attention, gain more attention than others, but we expect to have still interesting events, not only from well-established, experienced professionals, but as well early researchers. Who we are. So we are now, our team has grown a bit. So it's me, Federica, and we have Rafaela Ribeiro Lucas, Lucy Michaels, and Leticia Lopez. all nice ladies that have very nice, good experience within research and data science. So if you want to be part of the team, we have this form on Google. I'll put in the chat. You can fill up the form and I'll get back to you. You can also propose a speaker or speak yourself, propose yourself as a speaker for our ladies' room. You can scan these two QR codes and they will lead you to a Google form just to have a little information about you to reply. What about next events? So September, it's going to be Dr. Nicola Renni, and she's a fantastic professor of health sciences, but also a data visualization specialist. So she's going to be great. So expect a very good event. And then October, November is going to be as well very interesting. So Rahul Sangole is going to have entertaining us with a target workshop. He is a colleague of Ramin Crispin, so works at Apple. And then we have November, Jakub Novsad. I don't know if you should know him about it. He's the author of Geo Computation with R. And so we expect much more. So just to introduce the talk of today, thank you very much, Derek. We are thrilled to have with us Dr. Derek Sollberger. He is a lecturer at the Center for Statistics and Machine Learning, where he teaches data science, AI methods, and Bayesian analysis. Derek is a Posit certified Tidyverse instructor with extensive experience leading R programming, workshop, and serving as a data analysis consultant for research projects and pedagogy. His passion lies in making complex statistical tools approachable and useful for real-world application. Today, he'll guide us through building an interactive Quarto dashboard, powerful tool for academic teams, business groups, and anyone who needs clear interactive data communication. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Derek Sollberger. Yeah, so up to you.
Hi, I'm glad to be here, and I just thinking that like a music concert, I'm going to be like the opening act for those upcoming fantastic speakers that you have lined up. So I'm just honored to be kind of in the same slideshow as them. Let me just move around some of my Zoom windows here so I could see the chat. And as Federica said, we ran this workshop about interactive Quarto dashboards back in February in the data science learning community. But with this setting, I think admittedly I will maybe skip the workshop aspect of it. If you want access to materials later, I could find a way to share the Posit Cloud workspace with you after today's session. But for now, what I'd like to do with my classes is present quote unquote slides, which are actually a Quarto blog post. And I will have the slides linked in the chat just in case I go at a different speed than you want to hear. So reading off what I have up front for us. And oh, by the way, I'm estimating today's session from here might take about 40 minutes. All right, so in this workshop, we will explore a relatively new technology called Quarto dashboards, which you've seen has been featured in a previous All Ladies Room event by, I believe, Isabella Velasquez. So great work that they've already been doing. In this exploration, I've chosen a different data set out of my own interest, but I do want to once again give credit that most of the design for this workshop goes to the folks at Posit and other data scientists who have already created wonderful tutorials, and I'll link their work at the end. What I wanted to do is to add on more emphasis on the interactive elements into our dashboards using Shiny. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Basically, I'm a data science lecturer. And where I think we could start off is by getting a sense of what we mean by dashboards. Several people in the audience have a pretty good idea already, but just to kind of get our brains going here. So what we mean by dashboards, going through the Quarto documentation, are these layouts as such, where we could present a lot of information quickly, basically. And what I want to emphasize is I find that this technology is good if you are in a situation where you're meeting up with your teammates or colleagues, maybe about every week or so, and want to give them an update. And moreover, as I'll present the information today, this is a useful tool when you want to give your user a way to look at a bunch of graphs quickly. What I'm trying to say is this might not be like the most aesthetically pleasing or most technically advanced way to share information, but if you want something in the middle where you want to share information quickly and easily, this is what I'm going for now. I originally made this workshop at my university, and my original goal was to have an audience of people in more in the business sector towards the accounting side of my university. And that was my point of view. What we see on the screen is an example dashboard, a graph on the bottom right, bottom left, a table on the bottom right. And you'll notice three rectangles, current price change and percent change. In particular, those are called value boxes. And as you can see, those really highlight bits of information that you want to show to your viewers quickly. So once again, those three rectangles at top are called value boxes. And we'll get into the notion of layouts. What I see in front of us is a row of three value boxes, and then a second row that has two outputs, a graph and a table. Pointing out some of the code aspects, today we will be using the special features package because I am going to bring in a map. We'll be using the Bootstrap library and icons packages to decorate our dashboard a bit. We'll be using Tidyverse quite a bit, and I'll explain the data sources in a second. I do have these materials in a Posit Cloud workspace, but right now it would have been maybe too much tedious work to get you all into that workspace immediately. So I may be able to find a way to share that material with you later, probably through a GitHub repo. Just remind me afterwards. For a narrative, as a statistics teacher, historically, I've taught a lot of students in biology to be their statistics teacher. So I wanted something in their realm. And at one point in time, you can see that these articles are from 2017, 2019, respectively. We were concerned about the bees. There on the left, we have an article from Time Magazine saying that bee species are headed towards extinction. And there on the right from ABC News, we have an article saying that the honeybee population decline was unsustainable. Now, being data scientists, data analysts, what I thought we would do today is double check that information to see if we could get a sense of the situation and see where the story about the bees headed afterwards. At the time, and this was about 10 months ago, at the time, I downloaded this data from the United States Department of Agriculture National Agricultural Statistics Service. I was going through their data and trying to find information about bees that was gathered over several years and was gathered hopefully over the 50 United States. There on the top right, you'll notice that I used as a proxy the number of bee colonies. Counting individual bees would be quite tedious. So hopefully we could have an estimate of the colonies instead. And for replicability purposes, I listed all my choices here as I was going through that menu. So to get us started into what we could be thinking about, we could, of course, make a bar chart of the bee populations. So the bee colonies there in millions on the vertical, the time on the horizontal. And you could see that there was some variation there. That when the articles were written in approximately 2017, that there was some drop off from 2016. And that was some cause for concern. For my own ego, whenever I present graphs for my students or audiences, I like to put code in a different tab just in case anybody wants that later. So then going deeper into the data, we could express this information for the individual states. I'm going to focus on New Jersey from where I am. And we noticed that at least here in New Jersey, the behavior did not decrease significantly. The number of bee colonies actually grew a bit as perhaps more and more apiarists were able, or beekeepers were able to start up new bee colonies. I'd like to comment in the chat. We might have some instance of Simpson's paradox. Thank you. Now, if you're presenting information to your users, you might consider a facet graph. I'm guessing that folks in this audience are quite familiar with ggplot and some of the abilities thereof. Here, I happen to have California and New Jersey just for a curiosity comparison. But as you can imagine, in the United States, there were 50 states and Washington, D.C., and the prospect of showing someone 50 graphs or so is not that feasible or not that useful. So we're going to want to leverage some of our shiny tools. Admittedly, a lot of the folks that I've talked to over the years were here in the United States. Uh, Showing them where the states are might not have been as important in this particular setting. But maybe if you adapt these dashboards later for your business and you want to show certain cities or certain stores in your business, might want to be in a situation where you have to show them a map that can change. So what I want to do along the way is to be able to take this map and put the orange color on different states to highlight them. But I want that, as you can imagine, to be interactive as well. So I want to get us to a place where the user could choose the graph, the bar chart, and also have that state highlighted for them. So that way we could do that for each one of these states. In case you're wondering why I chose orange and black, those are my university colors. All right, so the last time I gave this workshop was back in February. I'm hoping I still remember how to code this up. If not, you're just going to see me do this. All right, so here I have a section of RStudio. I'm going to make a new file and a new Quarto document. All right, so how do you make a Quarto dashboard? Change the format from HTML to dashboard. And there you have it. That's how you make a Quarto dashboard. So now what we'll do is add some content to this, see how the dashboard is going. And what I mentioned before is that each visible object is arranged into the dashboard as a card. You can think about this as like the plates on a table before you put the food on the plates. We'll be talking about the layout. At first, by default, the arrangements of the cards are in rows. And thinking of your experience with R Markdown or Quarto Markdown, the way I like to have this organized under the default settings is that first level headers, namely one pound sign, is for tabs. Uh, two of these is for rows, and three of these are for columns. So let's see how that goes here. So we can make rows and a couple of rows, and a couple of columns. But so I need something to appear with actual content. So I'm just going to try to verify that like so. So the question in the chat is about the notion of pages and tabs. Yes, one of the features of Quarto dashboards is that you can have multiple um, tabs, so that way you can have more than one page of information. So now you can see in the bottom right what I mean by the arrangement so far. I'll go ahead and pause here for a minute. Now, I mentioned that these are the default settings, that you have rows, then columns. If you wanted to, you could actually change the orientation to be more column oriented. And you'll notice that switches the order here. The second level headers are for columns, and the third level headers are for rows. So I'm just going to pause for the activities because we're not actually having you audience members do this by hand. But think to yourself for a minute, how would you make this picture on the right? And if there are more questions, feel free to type them in the chat. All right, so I think we could go ahead and keep pushing forward. When I was running the workshop, like you probably experience in other workshops, sometimes it's best to have benchmarks or locations in the code where just in case there's a typo or something, you could start over, or you could start at the place of the presentation and not have to start completely over. So I'm going to, in my session here, move forward into what was called template one. I'm going to start bringing in the data, and you'll notice I have now the columns and rows ready to go. And instead of the placeholders like column one, row two, I want to start putting in the information like so. So we could put in an R code chunk that displays a file that I'm calling New Jersey plot. And that was here. And you'll notice that also that the Quarto um, code chunk parameter allows you to make a title for this particular card. While I'm here, you'll notice that I've used a fence div for Quarto to make a value box. It'll probably be better if I actually render this now so that I could describe them simultaneously. Okay. So now we have our layout. Uh, two columns. There are two rows in the first column and three rows in the second column. Once again, I have a bar chart called NJ plot that I have in the upper left card. And there, I've also given that card a title using the Quarto parameter, code chunk parameter. On the top right, I have the value box, gave it a filler entry for now. We'll adjust this later. New Jersey in all caps. You'll notice that I gave it a metal icon, and this is coming from Bootstrap icons, and was able to quickly give it a color, which is a shade of orange. So once again, I'll just mention the activity. I'll give you a minute to think about it, and we'll see what you all are thinking about at the moment. So from the code on the left, if I have a file called New Jersey map, how would you place that in the bottom left card and give it a title? And how would you create two more value boxes? So once I'll give you a minute to go ahead and think about that. And as always, if there are any questions about the material or whatnot, so a question in chat is about the format. To the best of my knowledge, it is an HTML file. And with other Quarto documents, sometimes we do have the parameter of embedding resources. Uh, at least with me and my colleagues, I haven't had much success there. I myself would probably rather host the website somewhere, or we will probably mention need to mention at some point if you're working with proprietary or confidential information, you would probably need to make sure that these files are only kept on certain places within your computers or within your business. So those are definitely things to keep in mind. But once again, my intention with these Quarto dashboards is to share information quickly with coworkers. All right, so let's see where I am coding wise. I believe I'm now in template 2, or maybe not quite there yet. Now let's get to the interactive content, shall we? Let me give you like a 5-minute lecture about Shiny, just in case. Okay, so what Shiny is a framework that allows for interactive content. As you may know, with Shiny, we tend to think of this as a a pair of code scripts, one called the user interface and one called the server. And you can see that they work together in tandem, that across the top of this diagram here, we have the user inputs going from the UI to the R server. In this context, I want the user to be able to choose a state, such as California or New Jersey, and I also have them choosing a year, such as 2017. There will be some calculations done on the server, such as making the graphs. And on the bottom of the diagram, you see that the server outputs go from the server back to the user interface. In particular, for our programming purposes, we need to keep track of those user inputs and keep track of those server outputs. That's what we on our level need to do with the Shiny code. So with that said, we have some functions there on the left in the user interface, such as select input, which will need to give a tag and identification. And you'll notice that in this example, the tag was called color underscore var. When we go to the top right in the server, we need to grab whatever information's in that variable from the input object. Some calculations would take place, and in this hypothetical there on the bottom right, a box plot was made. Now, for reasons such as interactivity and having the information be able to refresh whenever a user does something interactive, there are these wrapper functions, such as the bottom right called render plot, and you'll want that to be activated when you want it to be. So you'll notice that render plot now gets saved into output $box plot. So output is an object that's saving information as well. And then finally, going to the bottom left, we take that and back into user interface, plot that output, and hopefully get the box plot as desired. Now, the main difference between other presentations that you might have seen on Quarto dashboards and what I'm trying to express today with interactive Quarto dashboards is how to get the Shiny to work, how to make sure that your code knows that you want to have this interactivity. As when Federica and I were running this workshop back in February, she was able to find the documentation in the find the information in the Quarto documentation. I had found this information in various other tutorials, and I want to emphasize this to you now. So, in particular, these are the key things to really get things going. You first need to make sure that you're telling your RStudio or Positron section that you are intending to use a Shiny server. So you put that in the header up in the YAML part of the documentation. I'll show this in the code in just a second, but just to emphasize, you need to have a code chunk that's labeled setup. It's a good habit to have anyways. And you'll notice that this is given a Quarto code chunk parameter called context. And we're going to be doing this where we load the code libraries such as Tidyverse. And then finally, like other Shiny apps and Shiny programs, you need to have the server script. So you need to be explicit about which code chunks are acting as a Shiny server. So let's go ahead and look at that at the code. So I've added a little bit more to the dashboards. I like a cerulean theme in Quarto in general. This dashboard might be too big for the screen, and especially later on if you have users that are viewing this information on their phone, you might want to give them the ability to scroll up and down. So I like to put scrolling is true. And then, as I just mentioned, you want to, in the YAML, make sure that you have server Shiny there. You'll notice that on top of loading the packages and data sets, here as a Quarto code chunk parameter, we have context setup. And then finally, for the main code, talking about things like creating the outputs. For that code chunk, we have that delineated as the server. Let me see if this runs. Okay. So you'll notice on the left side of our app so far, just to point out, we have the bar chart in the middle. We have the three value boxes on the right. On the left side, you'll notice that I've now added a sidebar. This has been a feature that's been around in dashboards and Shiny apps for a while. And what I want to do is have spaces to put these menus or these user interface interactive objects. So you'll notice for the first one, I have a drop-down menu. This is created by select input. The variable tag cannot have spaces in it, so I'm going to adopt the underscore notation style. But you could also have a label that guides the user, such as choose a state. From the data set, talk about states such as these, Alabama, Arizona, etc. It's nice that we're able to quickly make a list of options based on a column of the data set. For the next one, we have a slider. The variable name, once again, cannot have spaces in it. But then from there, you can have a label, guide the user to choose a year. My information was gathered from and includes the years 2015 to 2023. You could have this step size going every 1.0 years. And then finally, you can have a default value that this information will start in the year 2023 when the app is loaded. So what I just did once again was put the user interface elements into the sidebar so that way the user will know where the interactive elements are. So now on the server side of things, remember we have these two in tandem, user interface and server. On the server side of things, I have a ggplot creating the bar chart, and you'll notice that I have this wrapped into a render plot. In the Shiny code, we have a render plot function. It also has their curly braces where all the R code needs to be for that particular plot. I'm going to save this into a variable called state plot that will be part of the output object. Now for the state choice, we have something similar called render text. This is from the input, we have the state choice, choosing a state such as Alabama. That gets put in input state choice. For the going back into the output, all we have to do at the moment is to render the text instead of render plot. And we're going to likewise save that as well. So now when we want to put these in our dashboard, we could finally, back on the user interface side of things, we could have our plot output and we could have our state choice. Let me show you this on the code. So now in the middle of the interactive dashboard, we have our plot output. You can see that I've given this card a title as well. And there in the top right, we have our state choice, which is already an interactive element here. You'll notice at the moment the bar chart's not changing, but the top right value box is. So there's a bit more to do. You'll notice also in the value box that this is run as R code, and we could do this with inline R code. So with that said, let me introduce what was activity 3. Use render plot that produces a map that's on the bottom right of the app. Use render text to also deal with the user's year choice. And then on the user interface side of things, use text output and plot output. So I'll give you a minute to think about how that would work out. On an aside, when we originally ran this workshop, it was about 2 hours long. I understand if people need to leave for another obligation or event here at the top of the hour. As Federica said, we will upload the video and I'll have the GitHub repo of the files in case you want to play around with this available to you. I estimate that there's about 15 minutes left in the presentation. And as always, if there are any questions about the materials, please ask, and we will see what we could discuss there in the Zoom chat. All right, so to refresh our memories of where we are, we now have some of the shiny elements in place. On the left side, we have a couple of user interface functions, the select input and the slider input. There on the right, we have a value box where the state name is changing, but the year is not quite there yet, and I want that bar chart to change with each selection as well. So now we're going to bring in some of the interactive elements. And fortunately, your knowledge of dplyr and the rest of the tidyverse still works here. You'll notice in the code before, the bar chart was only focused on New Jersey. So I simply plugged that in just to make sure that my dashboard was working at the moment. Now, if you want to input something, you just have to go with the shiny format, input $ variable name. So let me go ahead and finish this off a bit. What I've done, I'm skipping towards the end here. What I've done is I put in a couple more tabs with the first level header. Remember that in my orientation of columns, the second level header is for columns and the third level headers are for rows. For the bar chart and other selections, it's now interactive thanks to the dplyr stuff using input $ and in this case state choice where I wanted to. And this is also going to be done in the map as well. For the map, I should have mentioned before, is a shape file, run it through ggplot special features package, and we could also have input $state choice for that. For the value boxes, these are getting more rendered text as well. And in particular, we're going to be able to show the user for a certain state and a certain year what the number of bee colonies were. There's a subtle notion in R that if you have a data frame, but if you only want the number out of it, you probably want to pull that number out of the data frame rather than passing the entire data frame. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and see how this all shapes up. As people are coming into a presentation, say if you're entering a Zoom room or entering a seminar room, I would have the title slides at the beginning in the first tab. in case there in the third tab. So this addresses the earlier question about whether you could have multiple pages. In the second tab, I have our main app, which now is completely interactive as intended. Say if I look at Florida, I have a bar chart that talks about Florida. The top right highlights that we do have Florida selected, the year, and the number of bee colonies. In case you have spatial data, I have Florida selected in the bottom right, and now I could select different years, which will move the highlighted bar, and of course I could just change the states in general. And that, folks, at the top of the hour, actually finishes off my presentation. Thank you for being a wonderful audience.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Derek. That was very useful. We have lots of thank you. So I think it's going to be interesting to have the recording and longer with all the material. And it's like when you when you try to do something but you miss that kickoff information, and so you have this like pound signs for defining the structure of your dashboard, and that is very useful. I also look forward to see more about your things that you are doing. I've just seen that you did that scrolling telling story with Quarto, and so that would be useful to have that done as well. We thank you very much. I don't know if you have any question that you like to ask Dr. Sollberger directly. You can ask him. I would rather not. Okay. Oh yeah. So thank you very much. And again, you can email us at this address, rome@ourladies.org, for any other information you might require, as well as materials and anything you might need. We thank you again for accepting our invitation today. That's been very useful, amazing. Thank you very much. And hopefully this is not going to be not just a one time. So we look forward to know more from you, maybe next year, we know. We don't know, whatever, one day. So thank you very much again, and stay tuned for the next events and the material that we post soon. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. It's been great. Have a good day.
Have a good day, everyone. I had to close the reservations because we had 120 people sign it up. I'm sure that they will, so they are expecting for the recording. So not everyone is available at the time of the event. So that's why we record everything. And it is also useful because you can stop, do your things, your try, and then continue. So that is very useful.
I have several coworkers in a different organization, most of them based in Europe. I just want to thank you all for making the time. I know this is not the most convenient time of the year for you all.
Yeah, I did. I don't know, my connection apparently is unstable, but I did the most during summertime. So that is very somehow the best time to learn. Yes, is there any questions? Okay. Okay, so I thank you again, everyone, and I look forward to see you about the second half of September with Dr. Nicola Rennie, talking us about data visualization. Thank you very much. Bye now.